Hello everyone, this is module 5B homework. We're going to go through each of the 41 problems in two videos. We'll do numbers 1 through 20 in part 1 of this video section and numbers 21 through 41 in part 2. So problem number 1, 2, and 3 I've already written the examples next to each problem. What you're asked to do for number 1 is solve and check your solution. So we're solving this equation, d minus 4 equals negative 22. In order to solve an equation, one way you want to look at it is that your goal is to figure out what d is. What is the value of d? Now you can probably look at d minus 4 and determine what number you would take 4 from to get negative 22. But the way you solve it algebraically is this equal sign here divides the equation into two sides. You have a left side, and on the left you have d minus 4, and then you have a right side. On the right side we have negative 22. Because we're trying to solve for d, our goal is to get d by itself, always. So you'll see me circle the letter because that's our goal. We want to get this letter by itself. Now, in order for us to get the letter by itself, what I mean by that is, again, this line that separates, that equal sign separates two sides of this equation, the left side and the right side. You want d to be by itself on the left side. In order to get d by itself, you have to perform the opposite operation. So if I have d minus 4, the way I determine what d is I perform the opposite of subtracting 4. And the opposite of subtracting 4 is to add 4. So you would add 4 to both sides of the equation. Whatever you do on the left side of the equation, you must also do on the right. So we're adding 4 on the left, adding 4 on the right. Now, when we add 4 on the left side, we find out that our values, and let me give myself a little bit more space here. But when you add 4 on the left side, do you see what happens here? Our equation actually starts to simplify. The 4's cancel out. If we look at that closely, negative 4 plus 4 gives us what? It gives us 0. So it cancels out, and that's what you see me doing there, canceling that out. Now, on the right side of the equation, you have negative 22, and then remember we added 4. So negative 22 plus 4 gives us negative 18. So replace your equal sign, and we'll have the value of d is equal to negative 18. That's negative 18 is our solution. For number 2, look at our equal sign, how it divides our left and our right. Now we see our variable, the letter, is on the right side. So we want to get x by itself over here on the right. On the right, we have x plus 1. So in order to get x by itself, we need to do the opposite of adding 1. That's to subtract 1 from both sides of the equation. So we subtract 1 on the right side, and our 1's cancel. So 1 minus 1 is 0, that's gone. We bring down the x on the right side. We bring down our equal sign. Remember, there's equal sign in between. And negative 19 minus 1 gives us negative 20. That's our solution. Now, the second part of these problems tell you to check the solution. As you can imagine, if you figure out that the value of x is equal to negative 20, then in order to check that, you would just substitute into the original equation. Check and make sure that when I substitute negative 20 here and add 1, does it equal negative 19? And it does. You can check that out. If we had negative 19, we want to know, and I'll put a question mark here, does this equal, is this equal to negative 20 plus 1. All right, because we substituted negative 20 here for x. So negative 20 plus 1, yes, that does give us negative 19. So it checks out. This is how you check your work. All right, number 3, 20 equals y minus 5. Again, our goal is to get y by itself. All right, and it's on the right side of the equal sign. Right now I'm subtracting 5. The opposite operation would be to add 5 to both sides. We're going to add 5 on the right, add 5 on the left. Okay. Add 5, add 5. Now when we add 5 on the right and the left sides, remember the 5s are going to cancel. And we're left with y on the right side of the equal sign. And on the left, 20 plus 5 gives us our solution, which is 25. Okay, that's our answer. Let's look at number 4. We have 2x minus 10 equals 0. Now look and see where our variable is. It's right here on the right side. Our goal is to get x by itself. But this time, when I look on the left side of my equation, I not only have this number that I'm adding or subtracting, I have a number that's directly in front of the variable. Whenever you see a number and a letter side by side, that means multiplication. So this means 2 times x. Minus 10, so the opposite, you always start with the number that is not attached to the letter. So our goal is to get rid of 2 and 10, but start with the number that's not attached to the letter. Perform the opposite operation, so the opposite of subtracting 10 is to add 10. We're going to do that first. We're adding 10 to the left side of the equation, adding 10 to the right side of the equation. Now when we add 10 on the left side, the 10's cancel. Negative 10 plus 10 is 0. What are we left with now on the left side? We're left with 2x. Bring down your equal sign. And on the right side, 0 plus 10 is 10. Remember I said 2 and x being side by side means multiplication. So the opposite of multiplying by 2 is to divide by 2. You're going to divide both sides of the equation by 2. When that happens, the 2's will cancel. So 2 over 2 on the left side, the 2's cancel. Bring down your x. And that equals 10 divided by 2, or 5. That's your solution. So this is called a two-step equation because it takes 2 steps in order to get your solution. Let's look at number 5. We have y plus 1 equals, put a line up here, equals negative 4 plus 7. Now, this problem has 2 numbers on the right side that can be combined as they are. On the right side of my equal sign, I have negative 4 plus 7. I can go ahead and combine those 2 digits. Negative 4 plus 7 is just 3. Bring down your equal sign, and then we'll bring down the y plus 1 on the left side of the equal sign. All right, now to get y by itself, we just need to get rid of this 1. Bring y to the opposite side, which means perform the opposite operation. So the opposite of adding 1 to both sides, you're going to subtract 1 from the left and the right side. The 1's will cancel on the left. We have y left on the left side. Bring down your equal sign. And then 3 minus 1 gives us our solution, which is 2. For number 6, we have negative 14 plus 7 equals m minus 6. All right. Now look on the left side, we can go ahead and combine these 2 integers. Negative 14 plus 7 gives us negative 7 equals m minus 6. Now to solve this equation, we want to get m by itself on the left side of the equation. All right, the opposite of subtracting 6 is to add 6 to both sides. And when we add 6 on the right, the 6's will cancel. So we're left with m on the right side. Bring down your equal sign, and negative 7 plus 6 is negative 1. That's our solution. M equals negative 1. For number 7, here I asked to solve the equation, and it says first combine any like terms on each side of the equation. And we have these like terms, 15 minus 43, that we can combine. And if you just punch that into your calculator just like you see it, 15 minus 43, you would get negative 28 on the right side of the equation. On the left side, we have 4z. All right. Now 4 times z, remember a number and a letter side by side means multiplication. So in order for me to solve for z, I'm going to do the opposite of multiplying by 4. And that's to divide both sides by 4. Now when I divide over here on the left, the 4's cancel. I'm left with z equals, and then negative 28 divided by 4. That gives us negative 7. That's our solution. Z equals negative 7. So our solution is negative 7 for problem number 7. Number 8, we have 6x equals 30. Now this is just one step to solve this equation. On the right side of the equation, you have 30. On the left side, you have 6x. 6 times x, we want to do the opposite operation here. Opposite of multiplying by 6 is to divide both sides by 6. Now when you divide both sides by 6 on the left, the 6's will cancel, and leaving x on the left side, bring down your equal sign. And 30 divided by 6 gives us our solution, which is 5. Number 9 is very similar. We have negative 8z equals 48. So to solve this equation, we're going to perform the opposite operation, and the opposite of multiplying by negative 8 is to divide both sides by negative 8. We're dividing both sides of the equation by negative 8. So we have 48, and we're dividing by negative 8 on the right side. The negative 8's will cancel over here on the left. So z equals 48 divided by negative 8, which is negative 6. That's our solution. Z equals negative 6. For number 10, we have like terms over here on the left side of the equal sign. I have 2w's plus 6w. 2w minus 6w. So 2w's minus 6w gives us negative 4w equals, bring down our equal sign, bringing that over, and then negative 16 on the right side of the equal sign. Put our 1 in here. Now to solve this equation, we want to get w by itself. So we will perform the opposite operation. The opposite of multiplying by negative 4 is to divide both sides of the equation by negative 4. We're dividing on the left, dividing on the right, negative 4. On the left side, the negative 4's cancel, and we'll get w equals negative 16 divided by negative 4, which is positive 4. And negative divided by negative is positive. So positive 4 here. For number 11, we have negative 9z equals 27. To solve this equation, we do the opposite operation. The opposite of multiplying by -9 is to divide both sides by -9. Now when we divide on the left side, the -9's cancel. So z equals 27 divided by -9, which gives us -3. For number 12, we have to distribute here. We have -6 outside parentheses, and inside parentheses, t plus 1. Close the parentheses, and it's all equal to 0. So solving this equation, the first step you want to do is distribute. Distribute the 6, which means we're multiplying. These arrows represent we're multiplying -6 times t and then -6 times 1. -6 times t gives us -6t. -6 times 1 gives us -6. And that equals 0. So we'll start solving this equation. We want t by itself. That's our goal. We have a 6 that's attached to it, and then we have a 6 that's not. Remember, you always start with the term that's not attached to the letter. So the opposite of subtracting 6 will be to add 6. So we'll start here. Add 6 to both sides of the equation. -6 plus 6, that cancels. Bring down your -6t. On the left side, bring down your equal sign. And then 0 plus 6, that just gives us 6. That's the equal sign right here. So -6t equals 6. Next, we're going to divide by -6. So remember, that's the opposite of multiplying by -6. So we divide on both sides by -6. Here, the -6's will cancel. And we're left with t on the left side. Equals 6 divided by -6. That's the equal is equal to -1. That's our solution. T is equal to -1. All the way up here, number 12. All right, we're running low on space here. Number 13, right here we got to distribute. So we're distributing 3 times both the terms inside the parentheses. 3 times 4c is 12c. 3 times -1 is -3. So 3 times 4c is 12c. 3 times -1 is -3. And now, after the end of the parentheses, there's another -3. We need to copy that out. So -3 here. So 12c minus 3 minus 3. I'm just looking at the left side of the equation. 12c minus 3 minus 3. Now we can combine these two like terms. -3 minus 3 is -6. So that's 12c minus 6. That's the terms on the left side. 12c, I'm writing it up here, minus 6. So 12c minus 6 on the left, after we simplify all those terms, equals 8c plus 2 on the right side of the equal sign. Now, to solve this equation, you notice that we have a variable c on the left and a variable c on the right. We need to combine these two terms across the equal sign. It doesn't matter which term you decide to move. Either you can move the 8c over here to the left, or you can move the 12c over here to the right. We're just going to move the 8c over here to the left. And because it's a positive 8c, we perform the opposite operation. So the opposite of a positive number is a negative number, making us subtract 8c from the left side and the right side of the equation. Just combining our c's. Notice how we lined up the c terms on the right side of the equal sign and then lined up the c terms on the left side. On the right side, 8c minus 8c, that cancels. And we're left with 2 on the right. On the left side, 12c minus 8c would give us 4c. Minus the 6, we write that next to 4c. And then we continue to solve. Remember, we still want c by itself. And you start with a term that's not attached to the letter. So the opposite of subtracting 6 would be to add 6 to both sides. Negative 6 plus 6, that cancels. That's just 0. Bring down your 4c equals 2 plus 6, which is 8. And now the last step. Remember, this is 4 times c, though the opposite of multiplying by 4 would be to divide both sides by 4. We're dividing on the left and the right side by 4. 4's will cancel on the left side. C equals 8 divided by 4, or 2. That's our solution. This was number 13. Now for number 14, we have 24 plus 5t on the left side. So there's nothing you can do to combine these two terms. They're not alike. That 24 does not have a t attached to it, so you can't combine it with the 5t. So we're just going to rewrite the left side as is. You got 24 plus 5t. Now on the right side of the equation, you got to distribute here. We're distributing, meaning we got to multiply the 6 times both the terms that are inside parentheses. 6 times t, let's add our equal sign, will give us 6t. 6 times 4 will give us a positive 24. And now we're going to solve this equation. Just like before, here's my equal sign, and I have t terms on both sides of the equal sign, so I need to bring them together. I'm going to move the 6t over here to the left. It's positive 6t, so the opposite of that term would be for us to subtract 6t from the left and the right side of the equation. So minus 6t minus 6t. When we subtract 6t, on the left side, you got 5t plus 6t. That gives us 11t. Plus this 24 in front. We'll need to carry down our 24. Bring down our equal sign. 6t minus t, 6t on the right, that cancels the t terms. And we're left with just 24. So here's our equation. 24 plus 11t equals 24. Now start solving. We're going to subtract 24. It's a positive 24 out there. We're going to subtract 24 from both sides. And that will cancel 24 both times. Look, 24 minus 24 is 0 on the right side, and 24 minus 24 is 0 on the left. So we have 11t equals 0. So to solve here, I would divide both sides by 11. 11s will cancel, and t is equal to 0 over 11. And 0 divided by anything is just 0. So t equals 0. That's your solution for number 14 right here. T is equal to 0. Let's write number 15 right here. We have 4 outside parentheses that we need to distribute. So 4 times 6x, 4 times 6x gives us 24x. 4 times minus 2 gives us minus 8 equals 24x minus 8 on the right. 24x minus 8. Now we want to solve this equation. We're combining our x terms with 24x and 24x. They're both positive. I'm going to subtract 24x from both sides. So minus 24x on the right, minus 24x on the left. Now when we subtract 24x on the right, look, 24x cancels. We're done with the x term. But look what happens on the left also. 24x minus 24 cancels. We don't have any more variables. When your variables cancel on both sides and you're not left with any variable to solve for, then it's no solution. That means there's no possible value of x that would make this equation true. So you would write no solution if both your x, y, or whatever the variable is, if they cancel out, like in this example. So it should be no solution. Because this one is multiple choice, you would bubble in letter B. Oh, sorry, you would bubble in letter C. No solution. All right, let's look at number 16. Make ourselves a little bit of space here. So for 16, we got 4x minus 4 on the left. Equals. And then we're distributing on the right side. So 4 times x, 4 times negative 2, negative 6. So 4 times x on the right side gives us 4x. And then 4 times negative 6 gives us negative 24. We need to combine like terms, the 4x and 4x. And you kind of see what's going to happen here, because when I subtract my 4x on the right side, the opposite of positive 4x, and when I subtract my 4x on the left, they cancel out again. And that will be no solution. Our x terms canceled out again. Look at 17. 1/8 x. So 1 over 8 times x equals 9. Now I have this 1/8 times x. The opposite would be for me to divide by 1/8. But when you divide by a fraction, that's the same thing as multiplying by its reciprocal. So that's really what you're going to do. When you have a fraction in front of the letter, you're going to take the reciprocal. And I'm putting these arrows here to remind you what the reciprocal is. That's flipping the fraction. So our denominator moves to the numerator. Our numerator moves to the denominator. So this becomes 8 over 1. And we're going to multiply both sides of the equation by that reciprocal. So by 8 over 1. Multiply the left and the right side by the reciprocal of 8 over 1. Now on the left, look what happens. 8 and 8 cancels. 1 and 1 cancels. So we're left with just x equals 9 times 8. This is top number times top number. Gives us 72 divided by 1. And 72 divided by 1 is just 72. That's our solution. X equals 72. For number 18, we have x over negative 2 minus 1 minus negative 3. So x over negative 2 equals -1 minus -3. Now let's try to clean this up over here on the right side of the equal sign. Remember, a negative and negative side by side, these two minuses becomes addition. So that really is just -1 plus 3. And -1 plus 3 is 2. Bring down the equal sign. And remember, on the left, we have x over -2. So in order to solve this equation for x, we're going to perform the opposite operation. And the opposite of dividing by -2 is to multiply both sides of the equation by -2. All right, and -2 cancels with this -2. So that leaves just x on the left side. And on the right side of the equation, 2 times -2 gives us our solution, which is -4. So x equals -4 for number 18. Number 19, we have number 19, x over 6 plus 5 equals 37 over 6. All right, so our goal is to get x by itself. We got x over 6 and plus 5 on the left side that we need to get rid of. Start with the number that's not attached to the letter first. So we're performing the opposite operation, and the opposite of adding 5 is to subtract 5 from both sides. So -5 minus 5. Now the 5s will cancel over here on the left, and we're left with just x over 6 equals. Now we have a little bit of work to do over here on the right side, because when I attempt to subtract 5 from 37/6, that won't work because these two terms do not have the same denominator. You can make any whole number a fraction by putting it over 1. So that's why we wrote -5 over 1. We just need to now find our least common denominator, which will be 6. And we want to rewrite the 5 over 1, -5 over 1, as a fraction that has 6 in the denominator. In order to change that denominator of 1 to 6, we have to multiply by 6. 1 times 6 gives us 6. Because we had to multiply by 6 in the denominator, we also must multiply by 6 in the numerator. So -5 times 6 in our numerator makes -30. So we now have -30 over 6. We can now subtract. So 37 over 6, that was the original fraction. And we're now subtracting from it 30 over 6. So 37 over 6 minus 30 over 6 gives us 7 over 6. And that's what we write here on the right side of our equal sign, 7 over 6. Now remember, to solve this type of equation, we always performing the opposite operations to get that variable x by itself. The opposite of dividing by 6 is to multiply. You're going to multiply. I'm using parentheses to show multiplication. You're multiplying the left side of the equation, everything on the left side, by 6, and the right side, everything on the right side, by 6. Now the 6's will cancel here. That's 6 over 6. And we're left with just x on the left side. Bring down our x term and the equal sign. Now on the right, the 6's will cancel also. So 6 and 6. When I say cancel, 6 over 6 is just 1. And 1 times anything is just going to be itself. So 1 times 7 will leave us with 7. That's our solution. For number 20, we have x over 7 minus 1 on the left side of the equal sign. X over 7 minus 1 equals x over 9 plus 1. Now look at our x terms, x over 9 and x over 7. We need to get those two together. So we're going to move the x over 9 to the left side, which means we're going to subtract x over 9 from the left and the right sides of the equation. So x over 9 on the right side and minus x over 9 on the left side. Now, just like before, we cannot add or subtract these two fractions unless they have the same denominator. Right now, our fractions have 7 and 9. So we need to rewrite these fractions and make sure that we use our least common denominator. So our denominators now are 7 and 9. The least common multiple between 7 and 9 would be 63. So I need to rewrite both these fractions. So let's just rewrite this fraction part over here. We have x over 7 minus x over 9. And our least common multiple, which will become our denominator, our common denominator, is 63. We want both of these fractions to have 63 in the denominator. So we ask ourselves, hey, what do I multiply that 9 by for the bottom fraction to get 63? And it's 7. You had to multiply that 9 times 7. Therefore, you must also multiply the numerator times 7. So times 7 in the numerator. 7 times x makes our numerator 7x. For our top fraction, we have 7, but we changed it to 63. So what do we have to multiply 7 by to get 63? We had to multiply it by 9. So that means we must also multiply the numerator by 9. X times 9 is just 9x. Now we can combine these fractions. All right, these are the fractions we're left with. It's 9x over 63 minus 7x over 63. And when we make that subtraction, 9x over 63 minus 7x over 63, we get 2x over 63, which is actually equivalent to 2 over 63 times x. I want you to see that this is just this fraction because we're going to eventually need to get x by itself. It means the same thing as 2 over 63 times x. All right, so when we combined the x over 9 minus x over 9, that canceled on the right. So on the right side of the equal sign, we were left with just 1. All right, so bring down our 1. The x over 9's cancel. Bring down our 1. On the left side, we have this minus 1 here. And then we had to get our common denominator for x over 9, x over 7 minus x over 9. And that left us with 2 over 63 times x. So we're going to copy that here. We have 2 over 63 and minus 1 that we need to get rid of in order to have x by itself on the left. Start with the term that's not attached to the letter. So the opposite of subtracting 1 from both sides of the equation is going to be to add 1. So we're adding 1. Negative 1 plus 1 on the left side, that cancels. So we're just left with 2 over 63 x. And then 1 plus 1 equals 2. So to solve that 2 over 63, that's just a fraction. We are multiplying by that fraction. The opposite would be for us to divide by the fraction, but remember, dividing by a fraction is the same as multiplying by its reciprocal. So we're going to reverse this fraction. We're going to flip it to get our reciprocal. All the terms in the denominator, the 63 is going to move to the numerator. The 2 will move to the denominator. And we're going to multiply both sides by that reciprocal. So we're multiplying both sides by 63 over 2. That's the reciprocal. The left side by 63 over 2 and the right side by 63 over 2. Now on the left side, the 63s cancel, the 2's cancel, so we're just left with x. On the right side, the 2's cancel. So our answer is just that top number, which is 63. So all of that, our answer for x, number 20, is 63. We're going to stop the video here and we'll proceed in the next section.